Hello, my amazing Algebra Half students. This is Mrs. A, and I love math. And tonight we're doing another twofer. We have 106 in the addition 2 and 106 in the addition 3. So they match again. And we're talking about roots of negative numbers and negative exponents. So let's dig in here. So a positive number, every positive number has a positive and a negative square root. So let's see some examples about this. We have square root of 25 is 5, but also that square root of 25 is negative 5. And by the definition of square root, the square root of 25 is 5 because 5 times 5 gives me 25. And the square root of 25 is negative 5 because negative 5 times negative 5 gives me 25. So there's your first screen. Now, let's look a little further, okay? When we're looking at the square root of a negative number, we just did the square root of positive numbers, but now we're talking about the square root of a negative number. The square root of a negative 4 is not a real number. The square root of a negative 25 is not a real number. That means you could not put these numbers on your real number line. And you won't learn about these types of numbers till you get to Algebra 2 because they are called imaginary numbers. So, we're not going to deal with those right now. We're just going to know that they are not real numbers. However, if I take the cubic root would be an odd root. Square root is an even root. If I take an odd root of a negative number, it's no problem. If I take the cubic root of a negative 8, it's negative 2 because negative 2 cubed, or negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, does equal negative 8. So the cubic root of negative 8 is negative 2. And negative 2 is a real number. It fits on the real number line. The cubic root of negative 27 is no problem. It is negative 3. Because negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 does give me negative 27. Therefore, we have a real solution. And let's come back with some more in a moment. So our next example is the fifth root of a negative 32. Well, the fifth root of negative 32, this over here is a different problem. We'll leave that there. Is negative 2 because negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 does equal negative 32. Right, so now we're moving into the second half of this section. Negative exponents. Now, this is our general rule. When we see a to the negative 1, it means 1 over a. And 1 over a is the same thing as a to the negative 1. So you can see that the negative 1 exponent is a change in position, not a change in sign. So every time you see something raised to a negative 1 power, think of the fact that this a has got to make a little trip. It's going to have to go downstairs into the denominator because right now it's in the numerator and it's got to take a trip downstairs. 1 over a to the 1 is the same thing as a to the negative 1. So let's look at these. 1 over 4 to the negative 2 is the same thing. The 4 to the negative 2, because it has a negative exponent, it has to take a trip. So it's going to go upstairs over the 1, and then it still has a 2 as an exponent, but no longer a negative 2. Over here, we have a 1 over 4 squared. There's no negative exponent, so 1 over 16 would be the answer. Here, 4 to the negative 2 means the 4 needs to take a trip it's going to go downstairs and become a 4 squared downstairs. So let's see that a little closer here. So here we have 4 to the negative 2 and 1 over 4 to the negative 2. 4 to the negative 2 is in the numerator. Since it's in the numerator and it has a negative exponent, it needs to take a trip down to the denominator. So it's going to go down. It keeps the power, but no longer the negative sign. 1 over 4 squared is 1 over 16. Then this one has a negative exponent in the denominator, so it needs to take a trip upstairs. So it's going to go upstairs, but now it's going to be a 4 squared upstairs, and a 1 will be in the denominator, and we'll just get 16. Evaluating these can be lots of fun. Okay, so then we have the next one here. 1 over negative 2 raised to the negative 4 power. Now, negative 2 means a negative number. It has a negative sign, but negative 4 exponent means it needs to take a trip. So now we're going to send it upstairs. Need a new marker there, don't I? Okay, we're going to send it upstairs, and we're going to change the sign of the exponent. So it's going to become a negative 2. We moved it upstairs, so it's no longer a negative 4. It's a positive 4. It's over 1. And negative times negative times negative times negative. There's 4 negative signs. And each pair is going to make a positive. So we're going to get a positive 16 as the answer. Okay, so what about this one? We have a negative 3 base and a negative 2 exponent. And we have a negative out here too. Oops, I just erased it, didn't I? Okay, we have a negative out there. So this negative means it needs to take a trip. This negative means it's really a negative 3. So we're going to go ahead and change the position. So we're going to keep this negative out front right now. We're going to move everything upstairs, negative 3. But now instead of a negative 2, we're going to put a positive 2, like that. And we've got to do order of operations. We have to do this first. So negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. But then the opposite of a positive 9 is a negative 9. Okay, it's time for our practices. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 practice problems. So copy them down on your board and pause your video. Okay, so this one is pretty easy. This was one of our examples. So the cubic root of 27 is 3. So the cubic root of negative 27 is negative 3. So we're going to write down negative 3, and then we're going to put our little because here. Because negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, or negative 3 cubed, does give me negative 27. So the answer is negative 3. And then here we have a cubic root of a big number. But we've seen this number before. Let's see if we can remember it. Okay, so we're going to go through and learn our cubes. So if we have 3 cubed is 27. 4 cubed is 64. 5 cubed is 125. 6 cubed is 6 times 6 times 6, which is 216. And then 7 cubed is 7 times 7 times 7. So 7 times 7 is 49 times another 7, 63, 28. Yep, there it is, 343. But to get the negative sign, I'm going to have to put a negative 7. So negative 7 cubed gives me negative 343. Therefore, the answer to this is negative 7. My board's getting a little crowded here. So -7 is my answer. Here we go to this side, and we have 5 to the -2. But the -2 exponent is just a position change. He needs to take a trip. So right now 5 is upstairs. He needs to take a trip downstairs. And we keep the 2, but we lose the negative. Okay, because we already did the positional change. So now 1 is on top because it was upstairs, moved downstairs. Something has got to hold the place of the upstairs number. So we put 1 over 5 squared is 1 over 25. Did you get that right? And the last one is right here. 1 over 5 to the -2. Now 5 to the -2 is downstairs, but we must move it upstairs because that -2 tells us we have a position change. We need to take a trip. So we move it upstairs. We call it 5 squared instead of 5 to the -2. That is over 1, and the answer is 25. And we have finished lesson 106, and we've gotten quite a bit done today. I'm excited that we're getting so close to finishing our book. This is Mrs. A, and may God bless your day.